no more using the chat box to like chill and hang out. Let's go ahead and start. Um, this whole unit, chapter 5, we've been learning about just pre-geometry. If you remember, we learned about polygons, which are shapes with sides you can measure. We did area of rectangles and squares, and then we did area of triangles. If you remember, area was length times width, or it's base times height for triangles, and then you just divide it by 2, if you remember, and then we did a lot of that on Monday. So today, we're going to be watching a video on YouTube because the guy that we usually follow on Edpuzzle didn't have one for this. And we're doing the area of complex shapes, or they call it composite forms or something. It's basically like shapes that look normal, but then they have like, I don't know, something missing or something added, like the shape of a house, like a square and then a triangle for the roof. You would essentially find the area for the square first, then the area for the triangle, and then add it, if that makes sense. That's the best example I can think of. So we're going to be doing things like that today. So we're going to watch the video on it first, and just follow along. And yeah.
Farm sounds like a really good deal. Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning. Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm. All right.
Welcome to
Here we
Math
go.
with Mr. Jack. In this video, we're going to talk about how to find the area of a composite figure. And on your screen there, we have number 1 and number 2, and those are both examples of composite figures. So what we need to do in order to find the area of these, we need to separate them into simpler shapes that we know how to find the area of. That way, we can find the area of the simpler shapes, add them together, and it will give us the area of the whole composite figure. So let's jump right into number 1 and see exactly what I mean by that. So for number 1, the first thing I want to do is, again, separate into simpler shapes. So I'm going to cut this into 2 rectangles. I'm going to draw a dashed line here to
Okay, so I'm pausing it so I can draw on the screen too. But do you see what he's saying? So like this is a complex shape, this little like sideways L, or L laying down. With something like this, you can't really do length times height, or sorry, length times width, because half of it's tall, half of it's short, half of it's long, half of it's narrow. So what he's doing is, and you can see his dotted line, he's dividing it so that it's 2 shapes that we can know the shape of. So just real quick, if this, see if I can do a better, just like a more standing out, if this is one shape right over here, can I make this thicker? Yeah. Oh, I guess I cannot. That's fine. So yeah, if this is a shape right here, and then this is another shape, okay, before he gets to it, because I think you guys know the answer. Oh man, Mr. Hughes is not good at drawing on a computer. So look, he took it, and this is what he's doing. So this side obviously is 7, this side's 2. So for the red rectangle that I drew, what is the length of this side? What's the length of this side right here? Anybody want to raise their hand? C1, I appreciate that. Yes, C1 is right, it is 2. It is 2 because it's a rectangle, which means the side up across from it, this one, same, they're going to be the same, which means what is this side then going to be? What's this side going to be? In C1, don't type the answer this time. So what would this side be? if it's going to be whatever the side is across from it. Sambriti? Oh, is she typing? C1, I just said don't type the answer. I want everyone else to figure it out. So Sambriti, that was a good guess. It was 10 when we had this whole line, but we divided it. So this is actually no longer 10. So what is it now? What is it now, Sambriti? Based on what is across from it, which if we're doing it, it's going to look like this. What did she type? Close. Close. What is across from it? 7. Yes, see? 7 is on this side. So now this side's going to be 7. Okay? Just like 2 is on this side, so 2 is on that side. All right? Okay? So good. 7, 7, 2, 2. We did that one, and we did it without him telling us. Nice. So let's try this one real quick, and then we'll move on, and then you'll see that you guys are right. So if we turned this rectangle into just this, the sides that we know for sure are this one and this one. So what's this side going to be now? What's this side going to be now? Anybody? Again, I would love it if everyone participates at least once. And I got 2 people who are the only 2 participating. Anybody else? We separated them. And now we're just doing this blue rectangle here. Okay. So even if you get it wrong, feel free to raise your hand before I call on you. And if it helps, you can tell us what to cross off if you want to do that, or you can tell us what it is. But I will call on someone other than Sambriti and Siwan just to make sure you're here. All right. Be back. Be back.
What?
So what is the length of this side going to be?
6 inches.
No, it's actually not going to be 6 inches. 6 inches is
Oh,
what?
it's 8.
Yes, good job, buddy. Yes. So this whole thing here, guys, is 8. Because guess what? 8 is across from it, which means it has to be the same number. The only reason why I said 6 was when this was its own thing. But this part is the only part that's 6. This part, that's the only part that's 6. But the whole thing right here, 8, because that's 8. Good. All right. So now that we know that, what's this side down here going to be? What's this side down here going to be? What'd you say? You said you don't know? That's fine. What about you, Demetrius? What's this side going to be? What's this side going to be, Demetrius?
Mrs. I know.
No, you didn't raise your hand. Okay, I'm going to call on Deshaun. Deshaun, what's up?
3 inches?
Yes, it's going to be 3. All right, it is. It's going to be 3 because that's a cross, just like this one was a cross. All right, so good. All right, now guys, we're going to watch him tell us everything we just said, which we just got all that right. So watch. That's what he's about to tell us.
Present where I'm cutting it. Now I'm going to name the left rectangle A and the right rectangle B. And that's going to help keep me organized as I work through this problem. So I know that finding the area of a rectangle, area equals length times width. So now let's find the area of our rectangle A and rectangle B. So A and B. So area equals length times width. All right, now I need to plug in length and width. So my length for A is going to be this 8 all the way up, right? Don't use this 6 because this 6 doesn't go the full length of the rectangle. So you have to be careful which measurements you use. So I'm going to use the 8, and I'm going to multiply it by the width of 3. And that gives me an area of 24 square inches. So the area of A, area equals 24 square inches. Now let's do B. Area equals length times width. Let's plug in. Length is going to be this 2 inches here. So 2 times the width of 7 inches. Do not use the 10. The 10 goes all the way across. We only want right here, which is that's 7 inches. So area equals 2 times 7, 14 square inches. So the area for B is 14 square inches. So now that we have the left rectangle and the right rectangle, the area of those, we add those together in order to get the area of the whole shape. So we would do 24 plus that 14. And that gives us an answer of 38. So our final area is 38 square inches. So again, we separated into simpler shapes and then found those areas, added them together for the area of the whole composite figure. Now for number 1, we could have cut that this way as well and made a top and a bottom rectangle. So usually there's multiple ways to separate a composite figure. It doesn't matter which way you separate it, but it does matter which numbers you use, which dimensions you use going around for your length and width. So that's something you need to be careful of. So let's jump into number 2 here and see how we do this one. This one's a little more complex. Now for this one, I'm going to cut it into, or separate it into 3 simpler shapes here. And I have 2 rectangles and a square. So I'm going.
Okay. I'm just pausing it real quick because we are going to do this one. I'm rewinding it so that all the stuff he wrote is off the screen because I just don't want it to stress anyone out. So we're going to take what we just learned and do what he just said. Okay. So, hold on, let me move my screen a little. All right. So we're going to divide this complex shape into 3 smaller squares and rectangles that we can actually measure, okay? That we can actually measure, all right? So to do that, we need to divide it. And like he was saying, you can pretty much divide it in any way that makes a square or rectangle for, for us. But you just need to make sure you know what the length and the width is of whatever it is you end up doing, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're gonna divide it. How should we divide this? Okay, let's divide it like this. Let me pick a color. Okay, so I'm gonna divide it like this. Boom. All right, guys, so I divided it. So I have 3 shapes. I have this one, rectangle A, this super long one, rectangle B, and then rectangle C. All right, do we see that? Do we see what Mr. Hughes did so far? Yes or no? Okay, Sambriti, thank you. Anybody else? Do we see what Mr. Hughes did? All I did is I took this complex shape and turned it into 3 smaller rectangles that we can figure out. Who is that? Reham. Good. Oh, she's raising her hand. Reham, what's up? Nothing? Maybe? Dun dun dun. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. I'll answer. Okay, I'm gonna just keep going because I don't see or hear anything from anybody. So, again, this is our weird complex shape. All I did was divide it into 3 smaller things that make a normal shape that I can measure, which for us are gonna be squares and rectangles. All right? And we're just gonna do one at a time, and we're not gonna let it stress us out. All right? Excuse me. Okay, here we go. I'm going to help us even a little further too, and I'm going to block out each one as we do it. So we're going to completely forget this one is here, and we're going to completely forget this one is here. Let's just focus on this one, all right? So for A, okay, let's just, the other two don't exist right now. We're on square A, okay? What is going to be my length and width of just this rectangle? Anybody? What is going to be my length and width? Remember, area is just length times width. So we have A, okay? And we're doing, as you guys know, area equals length times width, okay? So for square A, what am I doing? Somebody. You type, there she goes. 5 times 2. You're close. 2 is correct because we have a 2 here. And remember, we want it to be the opposite. So this 2 is going to go this way. Okay. Which is correct. We don't know what this is, but since it's a rectangle, it's going to be the same as its other side. So if 2's on this side, it's definitely going to be 2 on this side. So it is going to be 2 times something. Now remember, this whole side was 5. This whole side was 5. But we're just doing this part. So what's the other side? No, you're close. You're close. Remember, this whole side, all of this is 5. All of it. But we only want this much. We only want this much. We only want that. We don't want this other. We don't want this side. We just want this side. C1, I didn't call on you. I'm trying to get somebody to get the right answer. But yes, it's 3. Somebody, why it's 3? Why it's 3? Because that's correct. It is 3 because again, let me get my drawing. Because again, this entire side from top to bottom is 5. Okay? We don't want any of this, remember? We don't want any of that. We just want this. And thankfully, since we just want this, it gives us the number right here, 3. Boom. So we know it's that one for sure. Okay? So we know it's that one for sure. Ah! Go away. Let me get all that back. So, A. And then, here we go. Close that off. Okay? So we know it is going to be 2 times 3, which equals 6. Okay. Does anybody remember what we write at the end of it? Anybody remember? Reham, do you remember what we write? It's okay, C1. Thank you. Oh, no, I saw your hand. Sorry. So our entire thing is measured in centimeters. So we're going to put centimeters. And since we did both sides of the 2 and then both sides for 3, it's 6 centimeters squared. Okay. So that was A. All right. That was A. So A is done. We did it. We're good. I'm going to erase this one. And then now I'm going to cover up A so that we don't get stressed with that one. All right. And now we're just going to do B. Now we're just going to do B. All right. So can somebody help me at least get started with B? Square B. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Remember, length times width. I guess I should write area so you guys don't get confused. Area equals length times width. Can someone tell me the length or the width? And I would love it if it was someone other than C1 and Sombriti. Because again, even if you're wrong, that's fine. Reham. Nothing? Okay. It's okay. I'm just gonna move on. So I don't hear anything or see anything. Okay, there you go. That's a very good guess. Awesome. So she is definitely right. 10 is one of them because again, 10 is right here and it's going to be the same on the other side. Okay, so that is correct. All right. Now, if this whole side is 5 and then just this part is 3, then this side's going to be 5 minus 3, which equals 2. Okay, so then just this part would be 2 because just this part was 3. And then the whole thing equals 5, so then we know that's right now because we just tested it. Okay? So, we know, let me get my pen. So we know that this side is 2. So it's going to be 10 times 2, which obviously equals 20. And now what am I putting at the end of it? We just learned this on the last one. So what am I putting at the end of it? I would love to hear from Demetrius. I haven't heard from you at all. Demetrius, what am I putting at the end of it? It's going to be 20 blank blank. 20 blank blank. Demetrius, it's 20 centimeters squared. We did that right up here. Make sure we're paying attention because all of these are going to end with centimeters squared. So for square C, I hope somebody gives me the right answer because it's going to be the same as all of this. Now, let me erase that and then erase that real quick. So again, I just want to remind everyone, okay, if this part from here to here on both sides is 3, and then this to this is all 5, then that means this to this has to be 2 because 5 minus 3 equals 2. It has to be, okay? It has to be because it's essentially going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because all of this is 5. All right? Just a reminder. Okay. I I do love it when you guys are participating, asking questions, though. That's awesome. Okay, now let me cover up the other ones so we don't freak out again. Okay, so we're going to cover this one, and then we're going to cover this one. Okay, okay, covered up. So we got C right here. Okay, we're doing length times width again. Okay, so length times width. What am I multiplying? What am I going to multiply? What's my length? What's my width? Again, would love to hear from Demetrius, because I haven't heard from you since check-in. So I actually don't even know if you're here, which is not a good sign. All right, Demetrius. I'm going to have to mark you absent if you don't say or do anything, because I haven't heard anything from you. Reham is correct. It is 5 times 3, because remember, we're only doing, our opposite sides. So this one obviously is 5. This 5 is the whole thing, but we don't want this part. We only want this part, which is here, thankfully. So then yes, it is going to be 3. All right, so Reham, you are correct. Boom. All right, and I'll put a little C there. So that's going to give us 15. And then somebody tell me, what do I put at the end of it? We did it in the first two, and it's going to be in all of them. What do I put at the end of this 15? Somebody. Thank you, Reham. Centimeters squared. All right. Guys, everyone should have had their hand up because the answer was centimeters squared for all of them. It's always centimeters squared. All right. Everyone should have known that. We've done it. We did it 2 times over here and 3 times over here. So 5 times total today. We should have definitely all known it was centimeters squared. And Reham came in late and still knew it. So I don't want any excuses. I'm just saying. She did it, which means all of us should have been able to do it. Okay. All right. I'm going to finish the video because he's going to do everything we just, oh, biscuits. I just exited all that out. Whatever. We did it right. I just forgot to add it. Oh, let me go back. Dun, 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 dun. See, so he's about what, right here? Cool. So you can tell he divided it differently than what we did. So I'm curious to see what he's going to say.
And C. So let's find the area of these 3. So area equals length times width. I'll put my formula first, and then we will plug in. So for A, our length is going to be this 5 all the way up. So we have 5 centimeters times the width of 2 centimeters.
I just don't want you guys getting confused.
And that gives us an area.
Trying to move it all.
10 square centimeters.
Which we got, remember?
Let's do B. Now B, we have a length of right here or right here. We don't have a measure there, so we're going to need to figure it out. So we know the whole shape is 5 centimeters, right? So if we have this 3, what's this going to have to be in order to get us to that 5 centimeters? Well, it's going to have to be 2 centimeters. And again, I figured that out because this 3 right here plus this 2 centimeters equals the total height of the 5 centimeters given to us on the left and right-hand side. So sometimes in composite figures, you have to figure out some measurements that aren't given. So our length is going to be 2 times the width of 3 centimeters, which is given. So 2 times 3 gives us 6 square centimeters. And lastly, for C, we have a square here, 5 by 5 square. So our length is 5 and our width is 5. So our area is going to be 25 square centimeters. So now we need to add these together. 10 plus 6 plus 25. 10 plus 6 is 16. Plus 25 is going to give us 41. So the area, I'm going to put it in the top right corner where I have some room. Area equals 41.
So guys, he got different numbers than us. We got 6, 20, and 15. So when we add hours, we're going to get 41.
Square.
That's what he also got.
That's our final answer for number 2. Now, just like number 1, there's multiple ways to solve for that answer. But again, what's most important is picking out the correct measurements for your lengths and widths. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, peace.
Boom. All right, so I'm gonna erase that. But yeah, guys, he did it differently, but we also got 41 square inches if you did end up adding it. If you didn't, that's fine, because I know I erased it all before we all got a chance to do that part together. But yeah, so the homework tonight is gonna be like area of a composite form or just a complex shape. But that's all you're doing is you're dividing it into smaller squares and rectangles that you know the sides of, and you just add it together. Again, like every single lesson I ever do, it's always recorded and posted to my YouTube channel if you are confused or don't understand. All right? If you missed the morning announcements, I will be calling parents this week to make sure that they understand that you guys have access to my YouTube channel, that homework is due every night, and if I'm not receiving anything in 3 days, then Principal Ben will be calling your parents to inform them of their grades and everything, okay? So I just wanted everybody to know that and be reminded of that. Before I let you leave, I will assign the homework again for tonight. They're always going to be due the same day we have our lesson from here on out. Does anybody have any questions before you go to Miss Dela Cruz? Who said only 4 of you showed up yesterday, which is not okay. All of you should have shown up. So Deshawn, Chantel, Sambriti, Reham, thank you for going to Miss Dela Cruz yesterday. Siwan, Demetrius, and Bebek, you need to make sure you guys go to Miss Dela Cruz today, right? Because on top of math and science from me, you do have ELA lessons and homework for her too, okay? So make sure you go to her class today. Does anyone have questions before I let you go? Excuse me.